You might be wondering why I'm doing this, and oh!
Hello Vicky.
Let me share my story.
Let me share my story.
My name is Jannica Honey. I'm a UK-based photographer who works with portraiture and gaze.
I'm originally from Sweden.
I noticed that the 10 last years has drastically changed our view of our... Whatever I do with these puppies, emphasizing or hiding, each time I take myself outside the bracket for feminine, I get punished.
Power structures.
What does that mean? It means that anything that tries something new in how we identify ourselves, how we navigate this domain called life,
shakes power structures
and censored by social media.
This started in 2016.
More so because of what would happen with this world if we could just be ourselves fully.
Hey, sweetness.
If we realized we are nature. So, Vicky, thank you so much for getting in touch, and I'm going to answer your questions. It might take some time because this is a very long subject that we really need to disentangle and tear apart, to be honest, because actually the community guidelines and people's unconscious bias about the female body is tearing apart female bodies. So what does your account, your work stand for? Does it convey a message? Absolutely. I have always worked with gaze. I started to photograph my friends naked when I finished photography college, whatever, photography education. I studied anthropology and criminology in Stockholm. I'm Swedish, but I studied photography here in Edinburgh, and I went off on an adventure photographing female bodies, but I actually left the female body for 10 years because I wanted to examine my own gaze. I realized just because I was a female, I didn't necessarily have a female gaze, rather the opposite. Our gaze is affected by culture, the religion we live in, the nationality, and I wanted to become aware of my gaze to be able to later on use my eyes as a healing tool, use my eyes as a tool of non-judgment, a tool of presence, a tool of just being witnessed as we are, nature. Women and men are just nature. We are the rotting leaves, we are the moonless sky, we are the waves hitting that beach. We are just nature. And it's funny with culture and imagery because in some kind of distorted way it's taken away what we are, powerful beings of nature, and modeled us into these wee brackets. So what does my account stand for? When the Blackbird Sings started in 2016, that's when I became aware of how powerful our bodies are and how female bodies hold so much power, so therefore we were penalized over and over again if we were just naked for ourselves. If you're naked for the male gaze, if you're naked for the other, if you're there to satisfy someone, it's okay. But if you're just present and content in what you are, you get penalized. So when the Blackbird Sings started 2016, I started to photograph women and nature at every full and new moon. I only used the twilight as my light because during that brief period of time, that brief moment, I became much more present with the person I was photographing in the woods. I stepped into nature with people, naked, and we became a part of nature. Not like it's something separate from us, more so a reminder of that we're that powerful. My account is all about how we've forgotten the power that the female body holds. And through watching social media, watching imagery, we're slowly disempowering us from what we really have, which is immense connection to nature itself. As you can hear, I can talk about this for so long, so I'm going to carry on with your questions and please get back to me. How many and what kind of images were deleted by Instagram? Simple. Never mind the female nipple. I'm going to go back to that later on. The images, how many? Hundreds. I have screen grabs of all the images being deleted. But what I noticed was present in my images was naked female bodies, but seeing nothing else than fat curves, fat bellies, bellies with stretch marks because the belly carried twins, fat thighs, aging bodies, hairy bodies, grey-haired ladies, women in circles. So I noticed with my images that were removed was that the images that were removed was the closest to nature. The more I went to the side of slim, white, young females, those images stayed up. But it's the heavy, naked, powerful women that they kept on removing. How did you feel about the censorship removal? Honestly, one part of it really lit my fire. The other part is anxiety. Injustice. I know on TikTok, for example, if you go live and you have over 1,000 followers, people can actually pay you money in the sense of throwing roses at you. I'm never going to be one of those content makers who's actually getting money for my work because I'm so penalized by every single platform. And that makes me become a victim of the power structures who's domineering us and our bodies, where I feel left out. But I'm trying to hold on to that the community that I created, especially on Instagram, is a big network of sisters and brothers who's all encouraging each other to step into the nature naked, fully connecting with the power within. No. Do you see the need of improvements regarding guidelines of Instagram? They're never going to be able to do that because the improvements of the guidelines, of the community guidelines on YouTube, TikTok, Meta and Instagram, Facebook I guess, would change the whole inner gaze, the unconscious bias. It would admit to that we're living in a world where not being enough, not being lovable, always buying more to feel ourselves more connected is the carrot. What do you think about censorship? How social media like Instagram is applying it? I think it's a form of control. And it's not control of female account holders or female artists. It's certainly changing our view of the female body. Well, the male body too. I mean, the only male bodies we see are the six-packs, the tattoos, the hunks. Where's the normal dads? Where's just the ordinary people? It's almost like the ordinary, the natural, is slowly diminishing, disappearing. But the censorship that social media is applying is absolutely detrimental for our visual diet, since diversity and representation, the minerals and the vitamins who makes us feel epic, magic, multicultural, diverse as hell, are slowly disappearing. And it's the boxes for feminine and masculine is becoming much tinier and smaller, to that degree that we're slowly unconsciously going to suffocate ourselves. So what do I think? Is it going to improve? I'm not so sure about that. What do you think about the censorship? I think it's detrimental. We're old and it's actually penalizing artists like myself. But I'm thinking about the younger generation who grows up. Hair-free, skinny, white bodies. Meanwhile, there's so many other bodies out there. Shocking. Do you see a connection between censorship and the aesthetification of the body? I can't say that word. How am I going to put this? I see the connection between the female body and the absolute need to control the female body. I see the connection where we got to that point in 2023 where we talk about the female nipple. I say the female nipple is gone, forget about her. But what is a female body? What is a female nipple? My nipples, that I obviously covered up, but that isn't enough here either. My nipples are a bit hairy if I don't remove the hair, to be honest. They never breastfed a baby, so are they still a female nipple? I'm still on my period, but I'm going to lose that in a few years' time too. So my nipples, they might just be male then. My boobs are not that big. I was on a beach in Sweden during the summer with my niece. She's only 11 and I said to her, I'm going to swim without a top. You can have your top on if you want to, but make sure you choose if you want to have a top on or not. And she got a bit like, you know, like kids are a bit embarrassed because her auntie had her tits out, and she decided to keep her top on. On the beach, I'm pointing at this boy, not a boy, we say that here in Scotland, like a man, and I say, look at his boobs. Who got the biggest boobs? And Tila just looked at me and she understood what her auntie was talking about. So what do I think is happening with the body and the censorship? These guys that we cover up, these tiny wee parts of our bodies that we're covering up, feeds babies, soothes babies, gives life. When we start to cover up parts that is that vital in the future, vital to maintain tiny wee humans, vital to bring on life, what happens? What have we done to this part? What have we done with the rest of the female body where stretch marked bellies are not for anyone to see, where fat parts of the back is breaking the community guidelines, when it makes the community unsafe, when we look at body mass and we think that's disgusting, and perhaps we think it's disgusting because we never see that here. What happens with women with long grey hair are constantly removed from when the blackbird sings, and the only women we get to see is shaved donnas with big balloon tits. That's my questions to you, Vicky, and I'm sure you can answer them. I don't think it's the aesthetics of a body. I think it's the closer we get to nature, the closer we get to nature in our bodies, the closer we get to our true power. And if we felt that true power for real, life, death, fertility, non-fertility, the cycles and the moon that is changing constantly, and today we got a new moon and a solar eclipse. If we connect to that fully, true art is going to emerge. True female power and male power is just going to change what we thought was this world. There is so much more to it. Oh God, yeah. Do you feel that certain body types and parts of the body are more likely to be censored than others? The body parts that I realized got censored, I mean, never mind the vagina. The vagina is just gone, if it's not completely shaved. It's everything it got to do with reproduction. So bellies, I had several big fat bellies removed. Meanwhile, the tiny wee six-pack ones are still up. So anything it got to do with childbirth, recreation, the power of being a human being, the power of being a woman, gets removed. Breasts, bellies, big bellies, female bodies that takes too much place, female bodies that weigh too heavy on the social construct of what a woman is supposed to be. Aging bodies So I noticed, it's an interesting one, female bodies between 18, I don't really photograph kids, as you can imagine, but the younger ones, 21 up to 25, slim, all stayed up. But aging bodies, they actually ended up taking away an image of my mother, an image that had been in all the Scottish newspapers, an image that was hanging, a big A1 of my mother when she's laying in the moss. It's a full moon, June 2017. This image was also sold at the Arusha Gallery where I had my exhibition, When the Blackbird Sings. My exhibition, who was highlighting how the moons are not only out there, they're within us, how we are nature, excuse me, how we come in all shapes and forms, how we, just like nature, is forever changing, aging, dying, reproducing, how we, when we finally understand that we are nature, and nature is the most powerful, simple, forever ticking thing, when we realize that we're not just a filter, that we're not just a face, that we don't want to age, that when we realize that with the aging comes immense power, when we realize that the whole world, firstly your own is going to change, but also the outside world. And if I'm going to go back to being a little bit more academic about it, our visceral diet is not giving us the nutrition that we need. Our visceral diet, as we see now, is that if you're not in the bracket for the whore or the Madonna, you kind of don't exist. And women knows we can be both, the whore, Madonna, and every single female type in between. I don't want to talk too much, but please do email me if you have any more questions. I wanted to film this for you because I think sometimes when I answer these questions, I don't want to sit and think about it too much. But please do come back to me. Thank you. And oh, by the way, it would be amazing. This is such an important topic.